So before we have a final thank you to all the singers and we release you to the line in the back of the room, and the manuscript at the front of the room, I'm going to invite up some people who will give you just a little picture backdrop on how this manuscript got digitized, and also a bit more about the manuscript itself. So save your questions. You can talk to Anne-Marie over drinks and at the back, and the manuscript at the front. But here I'm going to cede the floor to Anne-Marie, the McGill manuscript curator, and Greg Houston from the digitization team.
I don't have a clicker, so I might be saying slide every few seconds, but that's okay. My name is Greg Houston, and I work in digital initiatives. I supervise the work in the digitization lab. And as Dean Cook mentioned, it took a lot of work to bring these very rare manuscripts to light, not only through Anne-Marie's research efforts, but also through an extensive digitization project that was completed just a few weeks ago. This beautiful large chant book is now available to read online, and the rest of the selection will soon be available for all the world to see. This will include 4 more codices and 43 large folio leaves and fragments. I would like to take a few minutes to talk about the digitization effort and specifically about capturing this manuscript, MS-73, the largest manuscript that we've ever digitized in the lab. Before I start, however, I would like to take a moment to thank Dean Cook for supporting digitization in the McGill Library. With her help and direction, we have acquired the specialized equipment that has enabled the in-house digitization lab to capture these magnificent and rare items. Now, at first sight, if you can switch, MS-73 is a sight to behold and might be intimidating to even the most professional photographer. It is amazing to realize that this book is 600 years old, with over 145 leaves, or 300 parchment pages, protruding brass bosses, and bound with heavy wood boards and leather. This manuscript looks like a prop from Game of Thrones. This item, unlike anything we've digitized before, put on our new large scanner, the Quartz Super Scan, it really put it to the test. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our scanner to see how this was actually digitized. Switch slide. So this scanner was purchased in 2017. It allows us to digitize rare and fragile items from overhead. Only 2 other institutions in Quebec own a similar machine. They are the Canadian Centre for Architecture and the BANQ. With an optical resolution, of between 600 and 1,000 ppi, this machine is ideal for scanning music scores. Music scores require a minimum of 600 ppi resolution to capture the finer details such as music glyphs and characters. Now that is an actual representation size of what you see on the right to actual scale. Slide. It can also capture images at 1-to-1 ratio, which is important for maintaining size accuracy, especially if you wish to make a print reproduction and a perfect 1-to-1 facsimile of the original. That's actually that's an architecture plan, and you can see the printout matches the original exactly. So it'd be very interesting, actually, if we wanted to reproduce that book exactly. Other slide, please. Other important features include the relief enhancement and the anti-glare function. Now this scanner has 2 lateral lights fixed onto one spot. The relief enhancement allows us to shut off one of the lateral lights, which makes 3D elements, such as the brass fixtures in the book, stand out. If you go to the next slide, you'll see. The anti-glare function, if you can switch to the next slide, was particularly helpful when we digitized a selection of framed leaves. We were able to photograph through glass, and we can also photograph through plastic sleeves, because the lights are focused on one spot and we're not relying on copy stand lights on either side, which can cast reflections and shadows. Next slide. The Quartz Super Scan is used primarily to scan architectural drawings, rare maps, artwork, framed pictures, and other large flat format items. However, with our customized setup and a little care and patience, we were able to create a makeshift cradle under the camera to support this massive folio. Next slide. The goal was to support the weight of the manuscript, but also keep the pages as flat as possible. What you don't see is we actually pulled out the table and we were able to set up that cradle right under the camera. We wanted to capture the pages with the least amount of curvature to avoid distorting the text. Carefully placed sandbags and weighted beads were also used to help flatten the pages. Next slide. Pages that were slightly warped, and each page was delicately turned one by one and took an average of 2 to 3 minutes per open face. Once the digitization was complete, we did a final quality control to make sure everything was captured. These are unnumbered pages after all, so we have to do a visible cross-check between the digital and the real item. The last step, if you can switch the slide, was uploading a PDF into our repository and adding a catalog record for the electronic copy. Now if you go to those links below, it will bring you to the electronic copy. I don't know if you can click maybe, that one. We'll see what happens. You can view this item in our second repository at archive.org as a page turner, and you can download a complete sequence of the single page files. So we invite you to keep an eye on our collections as we start to upload the rest of the manuscripts, and we really do enjoy your feedback. Thank you very much.
We've had a very nice collaboration over all of these years, and we've done some spectacular projects. I would say that this one is a full project. As you see, it's a multidisciplinary type project. So it comes from the text, it comes from the aesthetics, it comes from history. And we're very proud to be doing this with the team. We just want to situate a bit more the manuscript. So it's a 15th century Italian medieval manuscript from northern Italy, and a monastery is soon to be hopefully identified with Julie and her team. There are some hints at that. The manuscript in this case, as you can see, is embellished with several large decorated initials using certain inks and compositions of color, which refers to northern Italy manners. The smaller initials in red and blue ink are decorated with characteristic pen flourishes and tendrils in blue and or red ink. You've seen some of the examples go by, so these characteristics are all important, as is the binding, for instance. I wanted to give you maybe just a notion of how did McGill get this manuscript. It's one of the most frequently asked questions we get on many of our collections. This one was obtained in Florence by Dr. Casey Wood on November 5th, 1930, from a firm dealing in antiquarian objects. It was added soon thereafter to the McGill Library collection on the 21st of January 1931, according to our accession records. The purchase cost seems to have translated into $250, according again to our records. Today these items would command a price upwards of $80,000 and much, much more for full objects of this size. So through acquisition and many famous McGill benefactors, we are very fortunate to have such a strong medieval collection. Some of the other Montrealers who contributed funds and donations to the McGill medieval collection would be Cleveland Morgan, Amy Lady Roddick, and Miss Mabel Molson, Frances McLennan. We are fortunate to have had their support in our institutional collection history. Rare Books and Special Collections of the McGill Library now possesses one of the most comprehensive collections in a university library in Canada, with well over 200 medieval era manuscripts from Western Europe. They are complemented by groups of early Greek manuscripts and some Hebrew manuscripts, several legal and historical documents to be explored further. So this Chant manuscript, MS 073, due to its completeness and its clear medieval aspect, is one of the highlights of the McGill medieval manuscript collection. We've learned that now we have 50, and they constitute a real area of specialization and represent an important component to the overall manuscript collection. We are happy that this has reached the ears of Julie Cumming and here at the music faculty to work with all of these very talented scholars and obviously musicians, we hope to make more of the aspects of these objects known, make them more visible and discoverable. Thank you.